Good morning and welcome to Gathering Youth. My name is Landon and I am one of our leaders here. And I'm so glad that you decided to join us today. Well, today we're actually going to be doing something pretty cool. Throughout the year, we do these things called I've Got Questions, where we take a topic and we discuss it with something from the Bible, and we tell a story from the Bible. It's a standalone message. It's not part of a series, but it's just about answering questions. And so today, I want to talk to you out of the topic, what happens when my past attacks? What happens when my past attacks? See, many of us live our lives chained to our past and the mistakes we make. And it doesn't matter whether we've become Christian or whether we've not been Christian. We tend to make our past into this prison we decide to live in. And even though we read the Bible and the Bible tells us we are forgiven, that doesn't change the way we react. And it feels like whenever there's a tough day or a tough night, you hear these voices telling you that your past disqualifies you from something God has called you to do, or you feel like people are going to judge you based on your past, and that's not the case. So let's jump into the Bible really quick, and let's talk about the Ark of the Covenant. Now, if you're a fan of Indiana Jones like me, the Ark of the Covenant is not something that you've not seen before. You know what it is. Let's kind of discuss it a little bit. And don't worry, it's on the topic of past, but we need to discuss it. So first, I'm going to go ahead and throw on the corner of the screen a picture of the Ark of the Covenant. Now, obviously, this is not an actual picture of the Ark of the Covenant. It's been missing for about 2,000 years. But nevertheless, here's a good representation of what it likely looked like. See it, you see the box, you see the things on top, the things on the side. Well, let's jump into the Bible now that you've got an image of it. And let's read from 1 Samuel chapter 6. Now, I want to set some context here in this story. See, the ark is something incredibly important to the people of Israel. It represented God's presence. And so whenever they would go into battle, they would actually carry this big, heavy ark in front of them into battle. And it represented a lot of cool things. But whenever they would go into battle with the ark. And so the ark was something of incredible importance. And so there's one time in the Bible where we find the Ark of the Covenant is stolen. See, Israel had been living in bad sin and all this kind of stuff. They were doing really bad things, and the ark ended up getting stolen by a group of people called the Philistines. And the Philistines were the perennial enemy of the Israeli people, the Israelites, the Jews. They were constantly fighting the Philistines. And the Philistines ended up winning this battle and taking the Ark of the Covenant from them. And so, like most conquering nations, they took the ark, and this was a representation of this nation. They had conquered God, and so they took the ark and they took it back home. And that's where we're going to kind of pick up the story. Now, let's go into 1 Samuel 6, verse 1. It says, "The ark of the Lord," which means Ark of the Covenant, "remained in Philistine territory for 7 months in all." So that's verse 1. So that sets the tone. It's been with the Philistines for 7 months. So the Philistines take it, they end up putting it in their temple. In their temple, they had tons of statues all around their temple of their gods. And one night, they left the ark alone in the temple. And the next morning, they came in and they found all the statues around the ark had fallen. All these other statues of gods had fallen and had been dismembered overnight. That their head, these statues, the heads were off, all that kind of stuff. It showed God's power. But still, they kept the ark. And whenever they would try and store the ark somewhere, bad things would happen because they weren't the people who were supposed to have the ark. Bad things would happen, diseases, all that kind of stuff. So let's go to verse 19 in 1 Samuel chapter 6. Here we go. Let's pick it up. Verse 19. You ready? Here we go. It says, "But the Lord killed 70 men from Beth Shemesh because they looked into the ark of the Lord, and the people mourned greatly because of what the Lord had done." Verse 20, "Who is able to stand in the presence of the Lord, this holy God?" They cried out. "Where can we send the ark from here?" Verse 21, "So they sent messengers to the people of Kiriath-jearim and told them, 'The Philistines have returned the ark of the Lord. Please come here and get it.'" So what happened? Well, they opened the ark. They opened the lid of this ark. Remember that photo that I showed you just a few minutes ago? That lid on the ark. They opened it up and they looked inside, and God killed 70 of the people that looked inside. Other translations say 50,070. so many people were killed because they opened the ark. Now, maybe you're like, why is that so important? Why does this have to do with this topic today? Well, let's take a look at the importance of the ark, because that's going to show us what happened. So inside the ark, you have a few different things. One, you have the 10 Commandments. Remember that when Moses came down the mountain and he saw the people of Israel were worshiping another god, a false god, and he threw the 10 Commandments and destroyed it? Well, they took those 10 Commandments and later put it in the Ark of the Covenant. Also in there is a bowl of manna. Manna is basically bread. What does this manna represent? Well, the people of Israel had rebelled against God, saying God will not provide for us, and yet he sent manna to them. He sent bread from heaven that landed on the ground every night that they would take. That's in there. There's another thing. There's called the budded rod. This is a rod of a guy named Aaron, Moses' brother, who also rebelled against God. And his staff ended up, when he became high priest, his staff ended up budding and flowering, which God showed he had chosen Aaron. Now, why do I say that these things are in there? Because all of these things in the ark, these were not successes. These were mistakes in the past of Israel. When they had worshiped other gods, when they had rebelled against God, when they said he wouldn't meet their needs. These were all mistakes. Horrific mistakes in the past of Israel. And then let's take another look at the top of the ark. See, this lid is what's called the mercy seat. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put another image up on the screen just so you can take a look at it. But see, the top of it, there's those two angels. You see them, they're called cherubim. And they would pour, whenever at the Day of Atonement, they would pour blood on the top of it, sheep's blood, the sacrifice. They would put the blood on top of the ark, and that would be called the mercy seat. And that's where God's presence was said to rest, where when you poured the blood on top, all the sins of Israel were forgiven. So there's this huge image. You've got inside the ark all these past mistakes Israel has made. On top of the ark, you have this seat of mercy where sacrifices were made, where the blood was poured over it to forgive Israel of its sins. Why is all this so important? Well, let's look again at what God did when they opened it up. He killed all of them that looked inside. See, what God is telling us is something so powerful, is that no one has the authority to open the lid on your past. The blood covers it. The blood that was poured on top of the ark represented the blood of Jesus over our past. Look at what God does when somebody tries to open up the past. See, there's no power on earth that has the authority to lift up the lid on what the blood has covered, the greatest mistakes of Israel. When anybody looked upon them, God struck them with his massive power. So what does this show us about our life? See, what God has done and showed us in this story is when we try and lift the lid of stuff that is covered by the blood, it does not work. No one has the authority to do that. So you can rest today in the knowledge that no one, not the enemy, not Satan, nobody has the authority to lift the lid on what God has forgiven in your life. And that's the power of God. So today, what is the take-home message? How do you get to react to this? Don't let the enemy use your past against you, because the blood has covered it. You don't have to worry about it. Don't let the past keep you up at night. Don't let it harm you. Don't let it stand in the way, because the past is forgiven, and we have already seen what God does to those who try and lift the lid on what the blood has covered. Now, maybe today you don't know this Jesus. Maybe today you've not had this blood, this forgiveness on your life. Well, that's okay. That's awesome. In just a few seconds, I want to walk you through a prayer. And this prayer is just asking God into your life, asking Jesus into your life, asking for that blood to cover your past and your past mistakes and all the mistakes you'll make in the future. All it is it's asking Jesus for a relationship. That's all it is. There's nothing magical. It's not a chant. It's not a spell. It's just an earnest ask to God for a relationship. Now, if you want that, I encourage you, just pray this after me. You don't even have to say it out loud. You can just say it in your heart. You ready? Let's go ahead and pray it. Say, "Dear Jesus, Thank you for dying for me. And thank you for rising from the dead for me. I'm asking you to come into my life, to save me, to have a relationship with me, and to teach me how to live. I'm turning to you for the rest of my life. In your name, amen. Now, if that's the first time you've ever prayed that, I just want to celebrate with you. You only have to pray that once, and you only have to mean it once in your entire life. And so if you made that decision today, or the first time you've ever meant it, I want you to get in contact with us. And in just a few seconds, I'm going to go over some ways to get in contact with us. And I encourage you, reach out to us. Let us know that you made that decision. We're not going to put you on camera. We just want to celebrate with you and help you take the next steps in your relationship with Jesus. Awesome. Now, so here are some awesome ways to keep in contact with Gathering Youth, with all of us here. The best way to do it is through our Instagram, which is @WeAreGatheringYouth, and it's at the bottom of your screens right now, and you can see that youth is spelled YTH. Once again, it is @WeAreGatheringYouth. That's the best way to keep on top of everything we are doing in Gathering Youth. You'll find everything we're doing there. I encourage you, make sure you follow us, make sure you message us there. That's one of the greatest ways to figure out what's going on with Gathering Youth. Another great way to contact us is on our website, which is also at the bottom of the screen right now, which is www.gatheringchurch.cc. And that has all the information, not just of Gathering Youth, but of Gathering Kids and all of the stuff going around our church. There's so much happening. I encourage you to check it out. We're doing a lot of cool things. Those are two of the best ways to contact us. You'll find all of those there on the website as well as on our Instagram. That's awesome. And I also want to encourage you. This Wednesday night, we have G groups, which happen every Wednesday night electronically. We do it on Zoom. And so I encourage you, go to our website or go to our Instagram page, and you'll find all the information there on how to jump online with us on Wednesday nights for Gathering Youth G groups. It's a lot of fun. I encourage you to be there, invite your friends. We'll do some giveaways. We do a lot of fun things. Can't wait to see you then. Can't wait to see you next week. Have a great one. Love you guys.